Welcome to another episode of Car Biz Confidential. We're at the NADA show 2024 here in Las Vegas, and I'm lucky enough to have Randy Brenckman join us today. Randy was one of my instructors about, 80, 90 years ago at the NADA Dealer Academy. When I went there, we always run across each other in the weirdest places. It'll be an airport at 1 a.m. or whatever it is. But man, the cool thing with Randy is, man, you want to talk fixed ops, you want to talk parts service, he's a guru on that. And man, I want to introduce Randy, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
About me. I just a car guy. I've been in the business 40 years now, believe it or not. And let's see, I first met you in 2000?
99.
So it's 20-some years we've known each other.
It is.
We still admit it.
Yes.
So that's the interesting thing about it. But no, I'm general manager for quite a few years, and I went and worked for NADA. I was at the Academy for 19 and a half years. So you think about it, 19 and a half years, every other week for 19 and a half years, I had 32 to 42 of you guys.
There's a lot of us.
So when you steal from one person, it's plagiarism. When you steal from
right.
research.
That's right.
So you get to know a whole lot. So in 2010, my wife, who was a dealer, decided why don't we just call it a day? And we went out on our own. So we've been Randy Brenckman Solutions since 2010. So we're getting ready to go on our, 14th year.
So tell me, you go in dealerships all the time.
Yes.
What are some trends in the fixed ops side? Good trends. What are some good things that are happening, evolving, changing that weren't around necessarily in the last few years?
You know, a lot of things are the same, unfortunately. One of the problems with fixed operations is, no disrespect, but the majority of our general managers come from the front end. So they don't have the skill set and so forth. It's not their fault, they just never grown up around it. So we tend to chase a lot of bold metrics. So hours per RO and effective labor rate still seem to be major things people go after. And while it sounds something that you'd want, if you just think about it, if you'd like to raise your hours per RO or your effective labor rate, just close on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because that absolutely destroys it. And if you want to put it on the front end, how many F&I managers want to take the last couple of days off?
Right.
It ruins averages.
Right.
Averages are difficult things to go after because it takes your focus off. We have 4 inventories in a dealership. You have a new vehicle inventory, a used vehicle inventory, a parts inventory, and a technician's time inventory.
Yeah.
Did we sell all of our inventory, or did we
Right.
sell averages? So for the service department, every day is the last day of the month.
Pretty much.
Up in the Northeast or whatever, you can have heavy snows and have really bad traffic for 2 weeks, but you can always make it up. We're good the last 4 days in the month, and we stay the other 26.
Right.
We can't do that in service because every day is the end of the month, and any time that we didn't sell, it's gone.
Yeah. No, you can't get time back, right? It's you want 100% stall efficiency, then.
Well, you want 120 out of each tech.
Yeah.
The average tech wants to turn 10 hours in an 8-hour day. So the easiest thing you can do is
It's a math problem.
Take the number of techs, put a 0 behind it.
Right.
I've got 12 techs. Put a 0 behind it. Today is 120 hours. I've got 4 advisors. That's 30 hours apiece. Let them know. Sell the 30 hours.
Right.
Now, the interesting thing about it is I can't sell 30 hours a day with single line repair orders. So therefore, I have to increase, if you will, my hours per RO, but we look at lines per repair.
Right, line per RO versus hours.
Exactly.
It's a combination, right?
Which is going ahead and doing the multi-point inspection properly and so forth. The other is effective labor rate. And what's really interesting to me is you take people with a lot of experience and you say, okay, I'm an advisor and I just wrote a repair order. And I've got 2 technicians standing in front of me, both capable and available to do the job.
Right.
Matter of fact, if I put a stopwatch on them, they'll both begin and end at the exact same second. So there's no question about skill, ability, or even attitude. Then I'll ask this question. One makes $20 a flat rate hour, the other makes $40. And I ask, if I dispatch this job to the $40 an hour, the more expensive tech, what will be the impact on my effective labor rate? 9 times out of 10, they'll say it goes down. As profit retention goes down, your effective labor rate does not. It's
right.
The sale price divided by the time paid. So we really don't even hardly understand that. So you've got to just go after hours.
Well, I see more and more dealers shifting into concierge service, Because look, the number one commodity to people nowadays is time, right? It's last thing I want to do is get in my car, drive 30 minutes, get a 10-minute oil change that takes 40 minutes, and then drive back. But if somebody would pick my car up and do the oil change and bring it back to me, I wouldn't even think about what the price was. It's how can we in service start thinking of evolving, right? I think we're losing business to all these third-party repair facilities because they're more relational. Most dealerships are very transactional. There's very little difference from when I started how service departments are run and today, other than they look better. We have computers and tablets, but other than that, the process hadn't changed that much.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, but the sad part about it for what I see at fixed operations is we haven't really defined purpose of what we're after. And we could get so much more and take care of them better and better put through if we would just concentrate on hours. Now, here's where the problem is.
But here's kind of follow up on that is, what do customers think about car dealerships, service departments?
You and I both know it is. We're the most expensive.
Most expensive. And in real life, are we the most expensive?
Not anywhere close.
And what do they think about the kind of job we do?
It kind of depends. Overall,
so there you go. It depends because the customers don't believe that it's necessarily going to be great. They think we're more expensive. So the question has to be first is how can we change customers' beliefs about and perception about service departments? We can fix it internally all we want, but if the customers don't see it different, I think that's the challenge that we keep looking at all these lagging indicators. Okay, here's the end result. Here's the end result. But what about the leading indicators that have caused that to be the problem?
And how do you fix that? One customer at a time. Every customer one at a time. We travel a lot. We're on airplanes and everything. And I sat next to a dealer one time, and I was talking to him about it. He says, Randy, you can't really worry about the image. You just get them one at a time.
Yeah.
This car business is whatever, but there's this guy by the name of Randy, and every time I go there, or there's this guy by the name of Tim,
right?
Every time I go there, he always is square with me. I think that's how you got to do it.
So my belief, it ties right in. Look, metrics are important, right? Numbers never lie. Got to know the numbers. The more you track, the better off you're going to be. But it's that relational side that I think is really going to carry us moving forward.
I don't disagree with you, but if you bring your vehicle in for service and they don't have the parts with needed things,
sure,
that's a problem. So
that's the internal side.
One of the things that I'm seeing right now is you look at a parts department, and to keep the math simple, let's just say you have a 1-month supply of parts, so you're turning it 12 times. So now the parts manager thinks, okay, I've turned 12 times, this is great. So you do a little bit of investigation, and first of all, you find out that the obsolescence is small. That's pretty much what we find now with those. Now, obsolescence is small. Remember, if I've got a whole bunch of widgets and they're real deep and have no demand for it, if all I do is buy one of them for cash and throw it away, I reset that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I can hide.
Sure.
So I don't have a lot of obsolescence. There's two other things to look at. One is your non-stock status. The other is auto phase out. Stock status, the part has the right to be in the inventory because you had the demand history that says bring it in.
Right.
Non-stock status should not be in your inventory. It hasn't earned the right to come in because it has the criteria. Special order parts never picked up. Order to left instead of a right.
Right.
A purchase thing of this nature. The third is auto phase out. This is where a part comes in, but a Subaru Brat, for example, came in. Now you don't make them anymore. They're all gone. So the part phases out. Now, if you take the percentages of not stock status, obsolescence, and auto phase out, you could be as much as 75% of your inventory is currently dead. With a 1-month supply, if you only have a week's supply of parts, no wonder you keep the business through.
Right.
Then the technicians,
you got a bunch of dead money.
The technicians who are doing multi-point inspections, setting pictures, videos, they don't even want to do that because if the advisor's not selling it, nor do they not have the part, they get disillusioned.
Sure.
They can't get their hours. So dead inventory would be the non-stock status and the OBSA. But the non-stock status, remember, came in probably through stock order, so it's still returnable.
Sure. Well,
however, I don't have any working.
And a lot of that got cleaned up during COVID and the last 3 years of having
Or gotten worse.
Nothing, or it got worse, depending on the store. But it's no matter what, it all comes down to the customers and how can we treat the customers better. And whether it's through concierge service, whether it's through teaching our service advisors to be client care. Actually, it's one customer at a time. We're fixing them, but it's got to be a mindset change, right? It's got to be, what are we doing to create separation between us and the competition? And that's what I'm always looking for, is how can I help my dealerships? It's a noisy world, and everybody's getting inundated. Everybody that walks in this convention center is going to get hit with ads every time they open up their phone. We got a geofence that every person that comes in here, you're going to get our banner ads. They're going to show up on your cell phone. So it's noisy, it's loud. How do we create that separation? And I think it goes right back to, like you said, one customer at a time. But that's got to be our mission. That's got to be our focus. But take separation.
Think about this just for a second. How long is your appointment out for right now? Can I take them tomorrow, or I'm out a couple of days? If I'm out a couple of days and you're sending ads out to bring more people in, what do you do if it works? Now you've made that whole thing even worse.
Right. Oh, I'm not saying it's necessarily ads. I'm saying it's a noisy world, especially in service. I'm driving by Jiffy Lubes on every freaking corner, Firestones and Christian Brothers, and they're everywhere. And it's next to the grocery store. It's next to Starbucks. How are you going to differentiate yourself, create that separation? And one thing that we're helping dealerships do, and we haven't even talked about this, is as long as we've been selling cars, modern time, we've been selling service contracts, right?
Yep.
And you think about service contracts. How valuable is that? How profitable is that for the dealerships?
Up front.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
That F&I profit, net profit, or F&I profit usually mirrors dealerships' net profit, give or take. And as long as we've been selling service contracts, we've been fixing cars. But what we've never really capitalized on is service contracts in fixed ops. And we got a group that we started working with that they actually have a lifetime guarantee on parts and labor when the customer gets their cars fixed. So they charge a percentage. They mark up the part a percentage, 10%, 12%, depends on the store. And then that customer automatically gets a lifetime warranty on parts and labor. And they can get it done anywhere, but every time they come back, then they can rebuy that. And it's not expensive, but every customer gets it. And you want to talk about creating separation? Who out there is willing to do a lifetime guarantee on parts and labor? And man, the amount of money, they're making between $200,000 to $300,000 per year at a 1,000 RO store.
Especially since all the data says people are keeping their cars.
Exactly. Interest rates are higher. Cost of cars is insane.
Leases are down right now.
Leases are down. But people can't afford cars right now. We're going to see, going into this year, I think the average age of a car on the road was like 12.3 years old.
I heard it was a little older.
And it's going to keep getting older because people can't afford to buy cars. Everybody wants this EV bull crap. Well, the average person can't afford to buy an $80,000 electric car. They can't plug it in.
He is stunned a little bit right now.
That's a whole nother.
My opinion about
a whole nother day.
Is I think he was done backwards. Usually,
I don't know. There was a lot of investments made in EV, and people had to make sure they had a return on their investments.
But what car was available? Elon Musk, over $100,000. The average person can't do that. If EVs would have started off as grocery getters, and then slowly got, I think people would.
There's a whole lot of problems. I have an electric car, so I understand that. I have a Hummer, and it's great, but it's a whole other issues. But
I drive a Corvette, so I'm so far away from.
Yeah, that's right. But one thing that I think really for everybody, what you're saying, what I'm saying, number one, manage your service department, your parts department better. You got to know the numbers, right? We got Super Bowl coming up next weekend, and I can promise you they'll know every stat. But if you don't know what you have in inventory, you can't sell it.
But think about this for a minute. 90% of your problems are found in inventory, and 90% of your solutions are found in inventory 100% of the time. How does sales comp get out of whack percentage gross, spiffs and bonuses? What do we spiff and bonus with old age units? Do we water our advertising or do we advertise our mistakes?
Right.
It all comes down to old.
I agree.
Every manager meeting you have is about age, whether it be receivables or
But we got to know our stuff, right? You got to have the information. You got to know the data. You got to have the stats. It's the best coaches in the world have every stat. What you don't do, you're not managing every stat, but you got to know the numbers. If you know the numbers, you can control the game. If you don't know the numbers, the game controls you. I think the second thing, though, is we got to get our service people thinking thinking about customers, thinking that relational. And every customer, it's like salespeople, we expect them to follow up with a customer till they forever. Service advisors, I could get a different service advisor every time I go into a dealership. Why isn't it relational where you try to match me up with the same one whenever possible?
Many dealerships do that. And when you're talking about successes with dealerships and so forth, the average advisor can write 30 hours a day.
Sure.
So take your inventory and figure out how many people. A lot of times you don't have enough staff. Those poor people, all they are doing is next. And that's where everything falls apart.
So we put next in front of taking care of a customer.
Exactly.
See, that's the problem. That's why Jiffy Lubes and Firestones and Christian Brothers are all kicking our ass, and they have a bigger market share of the revenue than we do because we're running people off and not being flexible. And look, it's me going to, it's a pain in the ass. If I got to drive 20 minutes to go to a dealership, and then I got to wait 45 minutes for that 10-minute oil change, and then I got to drive 30 minutes home. Okay, you may say I'll give you a loaner. Well, that's a pain in the ass too, because that's just 2 more trips back and forth to the dealership. So it's think about the customer's time. Like you said, track everything you do, think about the customers, and then challenge yourself. I think we got to be willing to adapt and adjust, think out of the box, and not just this is how we've always, at least service is the biggest, this is how we've always done it department in the dealership.
And I will agree with that, especially when the general managers have the information that they have. Not their fault.
Yeah.
But at 20 groups and so forth, they hear this stuff.
I agree.
And that's what they go back and beat up. My first thing that I would say is take a look at your compensation plans.
Yeah.
And if you have a kicker for averages, for example, I'm a used car salesperson. Not trying to fix grosses, I'll just use a number. Randy, if you average $3,000 a copy, I'll give you a $1,000 bonus. I'm at $3,001. I'm in the bonus. My next customer is here on the oldest used car we have in stock for a $2,600 profit online. What do I got to do?
Right.
I got to walk, because if I take the deal, I lose my bonus.
Fix that with management involvement.
No question.
Okay.
No question.
Shift gears. Tell me, what's the craziest situation with a customer or story that you've ever seen happen in a service department?
How many do you want?
Just give me your
the first
your
one that
best
comes to
one.
mind. First one that comes to mind is we're killed by friendly fire. The customer purchases a used vehicle over the weekend, comes in on Monday for something, and they get a laundry list of a multi-point inspection of everything that needs to be done on this car, and they just picked it up. So we kill ourselves with friendly fire, not looking at history and figure out the customer that we have.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
Me?
Yeah.
You don't have enough tape?
Just give me one. Doesn't have to be bad.
Same thing I've ever done.
Your wife's here, so keep it,
I don't know that, hopefully, I'll tell you, when I got into being a general manager, my owner's name was Ted Britt. And I did something for a customer, and then it was a monetary thing. And he called me and said, "What did you do this for?" And I looked at him and I said, "Mr. Britt," I thought about it, and I said, "If you appeared on the front page of the Washington Post tomorrow morning with me not doing it the right way, what would it have looked like at you?"
What do you say?
He said, "Well, that was still a lot of money, but I understand where you're coming from. Keep doing it."
Man, that's not embarrassing.
No, it's not.
We need something.
I'm going to
have him back tomorrow, and we're going to get a better story out of him.
well, you've known me for a long time. Have I ever lied to you about anything? And I don't.
I don't know. I haven't. I got to fact check. I got to find one of them fact check.
I just feel that everything you do comes back on you. And I've lived my...
Karma is a bitch.
Humbly, I've been sober for 34 years. And you don't lie anymore, because that's what got you in trouble before. And so that kind of cured me.
I just don't want anybody to think I'm a quitter. That's why I haven't quit.
No, I just look at it that way.
That's good.
In this business, what you know is important. Who you know is important. But who knows you is supposed to.
That's right.
And
I agree.
I think this answers your question about how we do it, and I've always tried to do it one customer at a time.
That's right.
That's the way I live my life.
Gotta have fun with it. So, well, thanks for being here. Hey, how do people get a hold of you?
Randy at randybrenckman.com, or cell number. I'm on LinkedIn. So please give us a call. I'm an owner that answers my own phone. So if we can help in any way, love to talk.
I like it. Well, thanks for being on this episode of Car Biz Confidential. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Click that little subscribe button. Share it with all your friends, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.